Amazing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're already watching my videos, or welcome to my YouTube channel if you're for the first time watching. Now, this is the first live stream since some time now. Welcome. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Anais, and I make tutorials related to Kubernetes and the cloud native ecosystem. I work for Aqua Security. They are also generously allowing me to spend my time on these live streams. Now today we are going to talk about Helm, specifically about a new Helm plugin. You might have seen the video that I did on it, the previous video on my channel, where I just gave an overview of the Helm plugin. Maybe if you're in your chat, say hi. Tell us if you're already using Helm, if you've tried out the Helm plugin, or if you're new to it. I would love to know. Now I have two guests here with me today. The first one is Itiel. Hi, Itiel. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey,
I don't want to take any risks.
No problem. Itiel Schwartz, the co-founder and CTO of Komodor. We're a Kubernetes troubleshooting platform, and I'm here today to talk about our new open source around Helm. Thank you for having me, Anais.
Welcome for taking the time and being here and answering our questions and showing the plugin off. Also, Udi, I made you join.
So I'm here for the morale and support because I'm a developer at Komodor, for those who are not familiar with me. And I've worked with Itiel and under the entire open source team on getting this project out to the people. And Itiel was the brain behind it, the idea of identify that specific pain that he will go into depth now and part of the product. And he will show us what we built and why it's amazing. And that's it.
Awesome. I made you join because in case there's nobody watching, then at least we have you here. No, but okay, so walk me through, how did it come about that you created the Helm plugin? Like, how did you get the idea? Because lots of people, when you start a new project, right, or when you want to start a new project, an open source project, you might think, oh, everything already exists. But this, like a Helm dashboard didn't exist yet, but to think about it didn't existing in such a form. So what made you think about it? How did the idea come about?
Yeah, sure. So I'll be happy to share. I also wrote a nice piece about releasing the project on my LinkedIn. How do I share comments? Udi, can you share the comments?
Udi, your job. Share in the comments.
Yeah. I will say it's more from two main areas. The first one is a personal pain that I felt and the other developers in Komodor felt. Basically, for anyone who don't know Helm is a super powerful tool that does a lot of things, but one of them is basically to install packages on top of your Kubernetes cluster. It does the installation part amazingly well, but when it comes to things such as rolling back to a previous version, upgrading to a new version, understanding the status of everything, or the security aspect, it is super lacking. It is basically a hackathon project that became the most popular way of working with Kubernetes. And as such, there is a few shortcomings. So we saw the shortcoming both inside the company, but also a lot of our customers kept on asking us, can you do something in order to help me manage my Helm charts better, manage my release better? And we had a very, very a good incentive to do so because it benefits both the community, and here in Komodor, we are really strong around the Kubernetes community. But more than that, it is also to help our customers to troubleshoot faster. So it was a perfect combination. So this is how the plugin, the base idea was formed. And luckily for us, we have Alex that joined the company. Hey, Andre, that joined the company only 2 months ago. And we are super lucky to have him. He's leading our open source. So this was his first task. We felt that there's a big pain inside the Helm ecosystem. Now go and try to figure out what's the best thing we can do and build this yourself. So he took the time, he talked with us, he talked with customers. And a week ago with KubeCon Detroit, we released the project. I can say that it became much more successful than we anticipated. We're trending on GitHub, on Golang. We have 1,000 stars in a week, which I think is quite incredible. Like
Yeah.
I did like a comparison. I think Helm, the project, took like 2 years to reach like 1,000 stars. But now, because the ecosystem is so rich and so powerful, then it became like super viral and trending.
Yeah.
And like it was a very long answer, so I will stop now and let you talk
No,
a bit.
it's great answer. And what you mentioned earlier in your answer is the user experience of Helm is quite. It's difficult to navigate your different Helm resources through Helm commands, but also through kubectl commands or whatever you're using through your classes. And most tools, they don't have specific Helm integrations, right? Like most platforms that allow you to view Helm resources as well that you install in your cluster, you view them as Kubernetes resources rather than as Helm resources, which kind of diminishes also the power of Helm. Like Helm itself has a lot of functionality, but the user experience is just not there to expose the functionality properly. And I think that's something you captured really nicely in the dashboard. Now, if you're joining here in the chat, in the live stream, let us know. Are you using Helm? Are you using Customize? What is your preferred tool? There's a lot of also conversation about Customize versus Helm. And I think it's a lot of times as well because just Helm is really complex again, and just using that functionality to the best extent it's just difficult to get started with. Now, do we want to show the dashboard? Let's go ahead.
Obviously, I do.
Let's jump right in.
So before even like showing the dashboard, I will say that the project is like super easy to install, which is very important.
You want to show the installation?
Is it shared? Yeah.
The GitHub? Yeah. You want to share the GitHub?
I will show that we are like official, like an official plugin in Helm. You install us in around like 5 seconds of installation, basically Helm plugin install, and that's it. It simply works. And it was very important for us to do it as simple as possible, all of the installation process, because I know that for a lot of people who are like not expert, sometimes just installing the tool is so hard that you're like, nah, like I'm not going to do it. So this is the tool. Here you can see all of my clusters.
All right, before we show this, okay, how do you get the dashboard? So you install the tool. Can you maybe open the GitHub repository? Do you have the GitHub repository?
Yeah, I'll show the GitHub repository.
Show the GitHub repository. How do you get there? Because a lot of times, you know, like before even seeing the dashboard, like you have to, there are several steps, but with the Helm plugin, there are no steps. Like it's basically a three-step process. You have the
it's basically this to install us and Helm plugin update dashboard and then running Helm dashboard. And it was important for us to be as close as we can to the CLI because most of our users are using the Helm CLI. And I really must say that even I'm a very big fan of like Helm, their CLI is not fun. Like kubectl, it's like a good CLI. It is very powerful and not so easy to use, but it is like, I like using it. The Helm CLI, it is always like counterintuitive. I'm not getting the data that I want. It's like they have hidden options. And so we wanted to be very close to the users and they can simply like type Helm dashboard and get the CLI up and running for like the web dashboard up and running for them. And like I said, it's like 5 seconds. And I can say that like anyone who tried to install us, it simply worked for him. So also it is like good to say like kudos for the Helm people. The plugin mechanism is easy to use. It is fun to use. Like it is very fun and easy to contribute your own plugin. So it is important to say like it's not, I wrote like a couple of plugins. It's by far like the easiest that we write.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning that if you want to use, there's also a plugin ecosystem for kubectl itself, right? But you need another tool in between. What is the tool called again?
Crow, right? Like
Crow. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Like, but it's not fun when you need to install something just to install the package manager. It reduces the amount of people who wants to use it. And in Helm, it comes out of the box, which like
that is great. That's one of the positive things about the CLI. Even it's
again, like I'm a real fan supporter. I think the main like problem with Helm is it became so much popular so fast that, you know, it's like already Helm 3, right? Like I started using Helm when it was still beta, I think, or like Helm 1.
Oh, really?
I don't think they understood how powerful is their tool going to be when they go. And that experience, like, I don't know, like it's how you build the product basically, and how do you build the CLI. So but also it's improving very, very fast, and it's like a great tool. Important to say.
So once you have the plugin, right, and you launch the dashboard with Helm Dashboard, there's nothing running in your Kubernetes cluster for the dashboard, right? Or
No, not everything is
there's
running
nothing
locally.
installed. It's just working through Helm. And I think
Yeah.
that's another important thing to mention, because a lot of tools, even if you use their CLI, right, like you're using an external CLI, and you would expect them to just run, right, like to use the CLI, but then a lot of CLIs actually install something inside of your cluster, and you might not know which resources they install, what permissions those resources have, right? And then to clean it up as well, if you aren't aware of those resources, it's quite annoying. And something else to mention, that it doesn't install anything, which I really liked. Now, walk us through the dashboard.
Sure. I will say, by the way, that one of the most popular feature requests that we got over the last week is the fact that we are not installing the cluster. People ask us, hey, I really like it. I want to share it with the rest of my team. Can I host it on my Kubernetes cluster?
Oh, yeah. So, but then it would be a different kind of tool, no? Would it be more like an like a,
more like a Helm dashboard, like the classical Kubernetes dashboard, sorry.
Yeah.
Like we are thinking about adding it. I know that some people did some hacks already to install
it.
Yeah, because it's used the kube context. So
that's interesting. Yeah.
But but I wanted the tool to be as easy to install as possible. So basically, we started like that. But now let me show you like
that makes sense. Yeah, that you want to have like a global one in your cluster, but then it also goes further that you I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. If you're just joining this live stream, we are exploring the new Helm Dashboard plugin. So let's walk through the dashboard.
Yeah,
what is it?
The dashboard is quite simple, so I don't want anyone to be like expecting too much. We wanted to make it as simple
everything you need
as possible. You can view here like all of your different clusters, right? So I have 4 different clusters. And there is the install charts, meaning like getting all of the charts running on top of that specific cluster. I can now go into one of the charts that is installed on my cluster, and to get a complete history. First of all, like here, there's like the chart version, app version, namespace, and cluster. There are all of the resources that Helm created for us, which is super valuable for a lot of the times. Simply saying, oh, this is the resource that were created. Those are their statuses. Like luckily for us, everything is working as expected. And I can really like even deep dive and get like the describe for a specific resource and like do the deep dive. The very cool thing about the tool is I will show like the capabilities is like the going back in history, saying something like, oh, like I wonder what happened, I don't know, like 19 hours ago. So we see that there was an installation on the chart. And I can view the manifest that was created like 2 versions ago, right? I can view it. More importantly, what you usually care about is how did it change over time? So I can you diff with a specific revision, 5 is the latest revision, and to get all of the difference in one single, very easy place, I can see that the chart changed the version, that some configs change, and basically, I see that the HTTPS proxy was removed 19 hours ago. So those kind of things are super hard to get when you are using the Helm CLI. It is basically like 7 commands all wrapped into one. But using the dashboard, it is super easy, super fun. And you don't need to do anything to understand how did my Helm chart change over time. I will stop for a second. Anais, what do you think?
So I just want to mention that this feature reminds me really of Argo CD, because when you deploy Helm charts through Argo CD, you have like a similar option to see the difference. But the problem is obviously you have to know Argo CD, and Argo CD has quite if you're completely new to GitOps, it has a very steep onboarding curve. Like I remember the first time I was using Argo CD, I didn't know what was going on. So if you're just getting started with Helm, which would be one of the first tools after getting started with Kubernetes, I would say, even because all of the tools here are installed mainly through Helm, right? Then getting this information is like, it's very difficult, and getting it through a tool like Argo CD doesn't make much sense if you just want to view your Helm charts, right? And the difference between your Helm charts. And that's why this is really nice, right? Because you don't have to use a complex tool to get this information out of it, versus while this information is provided by tools such as Argo CD is more difficult to use than Helm Dashboard command, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that this is like another really nice highlight, yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree. And so you can see like the difference, but now I can also see like, is there a new version? And I can see, oh, like the current version is this is the new version. One of the problems with like Helm is that it never shows you how is it going to change after I'm going to do the upgrade. So everyone who worked with like a lot of public charts such as Redis or Jenkins or other tools, it is super complicated and super hard to understand. How does it really works when I'm going to upgrade? What resources are going to disappear? What resources are going to be added? And here you can simply understand like the upgrade and how it's going to look like, which again makes everything much more simple. So I can also like really do like the upgrade now, right? Like I can hit the confirm button and do the upgrade using the tool. So in one single place, I was able to see that there is a new version and also to upgrade to that newer version. Again, like two things that are almost impossible to do when you are using like the Helm CLI, but super easy once you are using the dashboard. And yeah, a new version is deployed, so good for us.
Awesome.
Yeah. It is super like fun and nice. I can also like do a reconfigure and change the value.
You can also do a rollback to the previous version.
Yeah, and I can also like, let's say this version was the worst, right? Like I destroy everything in my system. I can simply like do a rollback, and hopefully the rollback will work and we'll get like we'll get it like up and running very fast. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. And now I can upgrade to a new version. I will also say
it tells you by the upgrade section that, for example, if there's a new update out for that Helm chart that you're using, you can just upgrade it directly through the dashboard. Because it's something else, right? Like I usually don't check. I usually don't check those, right?
No. It's cumbersome going there and checking and doing all of that. Like it is not really, it doesn't really worth it to check it basically. And again, like using the tool, it is super easy to use.
Yeah.
Another functionality that we have is the scan. Like if you have like, and I'm going to also show like something else in a minute, but if you have already like the Trivi CLI, for example, you are able to do like a scanning from within the tool and get the responses and get everything in one single place. So you are able to run the Trivi and Chekhov CLI from within the tool to get the target. I didn't have it, like it's a new computer, so I don't have like that Trivi installed yet, but it is super easy to use. And because I don't have Trivi installed, let me do something else maybe, and that is to show how do I install it as an operator on my cluster. So there are the install charts, but there is the possibility also of adding a new repository. So now I'm going to go into like the Trivi documentation. 1 second. And to install Trivi on top of my cluster, basically. So I'm like, it doesn't show, but I'm going to the Trivi. You can also like reference it. I'm going to the Trivi getting started, and I see that this is like the URL of Aqua Security. So I'm going to call the repo Aqua, and I'm going to add a repository in a valid format. Why? Because I have this. I had like a space.
A space, yeah.
Add repository. Oh no, Bugsy are like a real life demo. 1 second.
It worked earlier.
No, it worked earlier. 1 second. Now it's good. Aqua, and this is the URL, and I'm adding the repository, right? So now on my left side there is the repository list, and I can go and search for Trivi, right? And that is basically what I want. The Trivi or the Trivi operator? You're the expert.
This is the Trivi operator. So Trivi will just install Trivi as like security scans through Trivi vulnerability scans, but the operator does, in addition to vulnerability scans, also 3 different scans that are cluster specific, such as RBAC scans and secret scans that have a venue cluster that Trivi can do with the CLI, but the Trivi chart itself doesn't. So it's not Trivi, it's not an operator, but the Trivi operator is an operator.
Okay, makes sense. So I'm now installing the Trivi operator on top of my cluster, right? And it will take probably like a few seconds, and then we're done. So it gives you the visibility. It gives you the option like to add new Helm charts very easily, upgrade, downgrade, scan. Everything you need in like a good and fun, in a good or fun like from like a Helm perspective in a single tool. And here we can see all of the values. And I see that the trivia operator is not working. Maybe I don't have enough like quotas because this cluster is quite small. No, it is still like it is still on progress, I think.
Let's see.
So much pressure, so much pressure.
No worries.
And it is working as
Amazing.
expected. Yeah. So we have the operator already installed. We have the describe, and it is so simple, and it's like really like a no-brainer compared to using the CLI. So I really think it's like 10x better compared to the CLI, and the CLI itself is like 10x better comparing to like barebone like kubectl. So it's like 100x better than the standard.
Yeah, totally. Are there any other features you want to highlight?
There are no more features I want to highlight. I do want to say that we are like actively working on improving the plugin. So if there's anything that you feel is missing currently in Helm, or you would like us to add, we will be really happy. Like if you can open us an issue or a PR, or even like find me on Twitter or LinkedIn and saying, hey, I hate in Helm that I need to do something. Can you do it for us? We will be super happy. We're thinking about adding notifications when the Helm chart is finished, like the deploy. We're thinking about adding it maybe as like installing on top of the clusters. So there are a lot of different possibilities this project can go, and we really need the community help in order to do so.
And just highlighting again that this is an open source project. So if there's something you want to add, you can create a PR, right? You can create an issue and propose changes. If there's something you don't like or you like, you can also join the discussions and ask questions there if you have questions about it. And you have a community chat as well, right? Where people can ask questions. Maybe Udi, if you want to post that into the comments on YouTube, so people can see it.
Yeah.
See the link.
Yeah.
You have the link. You have one job. Awesome.
In this live stream, I'm getting better and better at copy paste.
As we are closing to the end of the live stream, you are at your best.
Always save the best for us. Don't bring the heavy guns on the first minute.
Yeah.
So one more question: does the dashboard also show CRDs that are installed?
It shows CRDs that install, or at least I'm quite sure that it does. But we are going to improve more and more around that area, like of showing the resources. Awesome. It is currently like also it's not like a real time like everything. So we want to improve a bit on how do we make the experience even more fun and so on. So like we are actively working. Like I need to check about the CRD, to be honest, just so I want like.
Awesome. Yeah, most tools don't pick up on those custom resources per.
Interesting. So we will check, and if not, we are going to.
Awesome. If there are any questions from people watching right now, please do post them into the comments in the live stream right now. Otherwise, you can also comment on the video afterwards, or do create a discussion or issue on the GitHub repository itself. Great. Yeah, I think all of my questions, everything I wanted to say is checked.
Amazing.
Amazing. Thank you. I do have to answer a call from my puppy daycare right now, so I have to end the live stream if there are no questions. Sorry about that. Awesome. Thank you again for joining. Anything else? All good?
Yeah, I just wanted to wait. No, yeah. So I just wanted to say that now that the project is out and public, so it's part of the entire community, and everyone has a part and stake in it. So please do contribute and add suggestions, open issues, and the best ways, like Anais said, are either on GitHub discussions in the repo or on our Slack community that also has a lot of cool and interesting people like Anais that are part of it. So please join us and help move this project forward. And I'm excited to see where it goes and where it will be in a few months from now. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have an amazing day. Thank you, everybody, for joining this live stream. This was great. Thank you so much. Bye. How do I...